He always thought there was still time. Time to apologize. Time to return. Time to fix everything. But life doesn't always wait. Arman left his home with dreams in his eyes and promises on his lips. "I'll be back soon," he told his mother, who smiled to hide her tears. And Sarah, the girl he loved, stood silently at the door. She said nothing. She only watched him go. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The world swept him up. His calls became shorter. Messages became rarer. Slowly, silence took their place. In the city's hustle, amidst crowded streets and endless work, he told himself he was building a future. Back home, Sarah waited. She never complained. Friends urged her to move on, to forget the boy who had forgotten her. She would only smile faintly, her hope quiet but unshakable. She waited every single day, believing in a promise he was already breaking. For Arman, life was a whirlwind of loud laughter and meaningless conversations. But in the dead of night, when the noise faded, her memory would return. Her smile, her silence, the way she waited by the door. He'd push it away. Not now, he'd tell himself. "I'll go back later." But later was a horizon that kept moving further and further away. Years passed. Grey hairs began to streak his temples. Sarah grew older, but her eyes never lost their patient hope. She never stopped believing he would come back for her. One evening, after a lifetime of chasing success, Arman finally returned. His hands carried flowers. His heart carried a heavy mix of fear and regret. The street felt smaller. The old house seemed fragile. And the door, it was closed. He walked slowly, each step heavier than the last. He knocked, no answer. He knocked again, a little louder this time. Still nothing. A neighbor peeked from a window, their eyes filled with a pity that sent a chill down his spine. "You came too late," they whispered. Arman froze, his blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "She waited for you," the neighbor said softly. "Every single day, until her last breath." The world shattered. The flowers slipped from his grasp, their petals scattering on the cold ground. Tears blurred his vision as a choked sob escaped him. No, this can't be true. He sank to his knees, staring at the door where she once stood. He remembered the calls he missed, the promises he broke, the countless times he had said later. All the success, the money, the noise. It meant nothing. It was all just an empty echo in the face of this deafening silence. The door remained shut. The street remained still. And for the first time, Arman felt the crushing weight of what he had truly lost. He whispered into the wind, his voice breaking, "I came back. I really came back." But some words are heard too late. Some waits never end with a happy reunion. Some moments, once they are gone forever. He sat there, a broken man, while memories danced in the empty street. Her quiet love, her unending patience, all gone. And in that profound silence, he finally understood a truth that had been chasing him all along. Time is the one thing we can never buy back. Love, when ignored, becomes a lesson learned far too late. If you are listening to this, please don't make the same mistake. Don't wait for later. Call them now. Say you're sorry today. Love them before it's too late. Because sometimes, later becomes never. Thank you for watching. He always thought there was still time. Time to apologize. Time to return. Time to fix everything. But life doesn't wait forever. Arman left his home with dreams in his eyes and promises on his lips. "I'll be back soon," he said. His mother smiled, hiding her tears. Sarah, the girl he loved, stood silently at the door. She said nothing. She only watched him leave. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The calls became shorter. The messages stopped. Soon, only silence remained, but Sarah never complained. She waited every single day. Even when her friends told her to forget him, she would just smile faintly. Her hope was quiet, yet unshakable. Arman's new life was a blur of crowded streets, endless work, and loud, meaningless conversations. But at night, when the world went quiet, the memory of her would return. Her smile, her silence, the way she waited by the door. He pushed it away. Not now, he told himself. I'll go back later, but later kept moving further and further away. Years passed. Sarah grew older, yet her eyes still held that same patient hope. She never stopped believing he would come back. Then one evening, after a lifetime of busy days, Arman finally returned. His hands carried flowers. His heart carried fear and regret. The street looked smaller than he remembered. The house seemed older. The door, it was closed. He walked slowly, each step heavier than the last. He knocked once. No answer. He knocked again. Still nothing. A neighbor peeked from a window, their eyes full of pity. "You came too late," they whispered. Arman froze. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice trembling. "She waited for you," the neighbor said softly, "every single day, until her last breath." Tears blurred his vision. The flowers slipped from his grasp. His voice broke into a whisper. No, this can't be true. He sank to the ground, staring at the door she once stood behind, waiting for him. He remembered the calls he ignored, the promises he postponed with later. Memories flooded his mind, the way she used to smile when he came home, the quiet evenings, the unspoken love, all the success he had chased, all the accolades and noise. It all meant nothing now. Everything was empty. The door remained shut. The street was silent, and for the first time, Arman felt the crushing weight of loss. He whispered into the wind, "I came back. I really came back." But some words are heard too late. Some waits never end happily. Some moments, once they're gone, never return. Arman sat there, broken, while memories of her danced in the empty street. Her laughter, her patience, her quiet love, all gone, and in that suffocating silence, he finally understood. Time is the one thing we can never buy back. Love that is ignored becomes a lesson learned far too late. He looked at the flowers he had brought. They lay crushed on the ground, just like his heart. The night swallowed him whole. The door never opened again. Some waits end in silence. The city moved on. People laughed, lived, and forgot. But for Arman, that evening lasted an eternity. He had returned, but she had waited. And life had moved on without him. Some stories don't end the way we want them to. Some hearts break silently, without warning, and some waits last until the final breath. If you're watching this, please remember, don't wait for later. Call them now. Say you're sorry today. Love them before it's too late. Because sometimes later becomes never. If this story touched you, please consider sharing it. You never know who might need to hear this message today. Thanks for watching.